the old water treatment plant facility. And I need a motion on this one. Councillor Danaka?
The council directs administration to determine the cost to close off the old water treatment facilities and repurpose the building or to demolish the building.
Okay, and would you like to speak to this a bit, Mr. Martinson?
Actually, it comes from Council.
Well, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and we were holding off on doing anything with that property until we found out with the water review that we went through whether or not we had to keep that facility in case of we didn't meet our water review. We met the water review. It's no longer needed, so right now it's sitting doing nothing. We need to find out what our options are for that building. For example, do we want to sell it? Do we want to keep it? But I think part of that is what's it going to cost to demolish that and put it up for sale or to repurpose it. Because with all of the underground structures in there for the water facility, what's it going to take to close that off and maybe repurpose that building? Part of this is being driven by discussions that I've had with Steve Epley regarding broadband in the town. He loved that location as a possible spot for a NOC, a network operations center, if we are going to do broadband in this community. So that was one of his. He thought it was a perfect spot because it's centralized. You could tie into some of the water lines coming in for the fiber and that kind of stuff. So that was, he thought it was an ideal location. And I said, well, we're not using it, so maybe it could happen, but we need to start looking ahead to what we want to do with this property. Find out what it's going to cost to do some of those things, and then we can decide what's the best use of that property.
All right. And also we'll be discussing with Public Works what their recommendation is towards the facility. Do you have any comments at this point?
The one comment that I would have at this point is that the building is still good for pumping water, which with some conversion in there, it could be used as a downtown storage reservoir, which would give us another couple 100,000 gallons of storage. That would be my recommendation. Setting aside a part of that building for sealed off for broad, and I did have that discussion with Mr. Eppy about that, and setting off another portion of that building for the broadband.
Okay.
So that's just some of my thoughts, because the concrete in the ground that's there, if it's ever required at some point to have another reservoir, is already in the ground and can be repurposed that way. So that's one thing that council should be aware of too. It may never have to be that way, but it's there.
Okay, so we're going to explore options, and it sounds like administration has a good job cut up for it. Councillor Corley?
Just putting it out there, I think I overheard one time we talked quite a while ago about bottling and marketing our own water, Town High Prairie, right? There's no wrong time not to do that, in my mind. We have the facility, we have excellent water, we have the building. Why can't we not look at that and look at bottling our own individual water and just as a feasibility, just to see if it's worth doing.
Councillor Long?
Not very often you get a soft spot with me, but this one is important. The WTO, World Trade Organization, if you start bottling water, you cannot deny Nestle, PepsiCo, Coke to come in and start bottling water as well. Not only can you not deny them a license to bottle water, you won't be able to stop when we run out of water. They'll be the last ones to say, we're closing the doors. We have no more water. We cannot stop them. We can't say to Pepsi or Coke, our reservoir is low, our water supplies are dropping, you have to stop. No, you can't force them to stop. And so I caution water bottling processing plants, a bad idea when it comes to the big picture. And you look at places like small towns in Ontario that are getting hammered because Nestle is taking their aquifer. They put the purchase price in, they put a bid in on the land that is the headwaters of the aquifer, and Nestle went in and overbid them. And now they don't control their water. Very, very careful to do that. It's not as easy as Nanton water. It's not. Pepsi could go in any day and say, we want to open up a bottling plant in Nanton. And they can't say no if it's zoned for it. And once they tap into the water, you can't stop them. Can't. And it's not Canadian law, it's the World Trade Organization.
Well, we'll just get Trump on that.
Yeah.
Or your friend Putin, I was gonna say, guess we'll find that out in the feasibility, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Indeed we would. Did you
Yeah.
have a
No comment.
No. No, I actually would like a little bit more information
Absolutely,
on that
yeah,
because,
Good at,
I like
we're
that
scared
idea.
about
No,
big-
it's just-
Big businesses coming in and doing that, we're scared of that, I mean, nobody will do it, right? So then they have to form the market, which is unfair,
okay,
right?
Councillor Gilroy, one more.
Do we have I thought we had a water bottling business by the food bank. Don't we?
That is,
Pure water or something like that?
no, it's bulk water
Bulk-
sales. And
Bulk
they're
water
using-
sales?
They're
Okay.
using our water, aren't they, to,
IGA.
Okay.
no, I'm thinking of pure water.
Fearful.
Oh,
Pure
yeah.
flow?
Yeah. They run it through a reverse osmosis
I'm
system.
talking individual bottles, drinking water bottles, right? I'm not,
No.
you can market it however you want,
Yeah,
I mean,
with our label on, Town High Prairie Water.
absolutely. West Prairie River, the finest.
Yeah. And then we'll pass a bylaw saying no water sold in town unless it's our water.
Hey, careful what we wish for, right?
All right, we have a motion to direct administration to investigate the costs. All in favor? That motion is carried. Next item is plans for the whole old hospital site. I need a motion on this one. Councillor Gilroy,
I'll make the motion that council directs administration to set up a meeting with the Minister of Infrastructure to find out the plans for the old hospital site. Now, my one question before I finish that is, was that during AUMA that you were expecting, or as soon as possible? What?
I would rather see it sooner rather than later.
Okay, so I'll leave it
at that
at
point.
exactly what they said, and then we'll leave the rest for the discussion, I guess.
Okay, so I guess I'll start the discussion on this one because we do finally got an answer from the minister regarding the questions that I had asked, and I'm not sure how many went back and looked to see what questions I had asked. One was, does Alberta Health have any information or an estimate of the cost to demolish the building and remediate the site? And her answer to that was there was no cost estimate available, but it is coming shortly from AHS. I asked, does Alberta Health have a budget allocation for this in the year 2017? And her answer was that budget 2017 had no budget allocation for demolishment. But in saying that, 2018 is coming up, and that I think is where we can lobby to make sure that there is money in the 2018 budget. What would be the time frame for the demolishment and remediation of the site? And again, we have no time frame on that one. And does anyone know what the land is valued at? And that one, I was really surprised at the value, because I read that the land value with the improvements, including but not limited to the demolition of the former health complex and the continuing care facility and the site preparation for future development, is currently appraised at $855,000, which means that development ready, those 14 acres, are worth $855,000, which is great, because it's certainly not the 19 million that was bandied around. And then it's not the 8 million that the demolishment costs. It was another number that was being bandied around as to how much this was going to cost. So you're looking at $1 million to have the site ready for development. Now, as you're all aware, in the last 6 weeks, there have been 2 motions made by, was it 1 motion by High Prairie School Division and 1 by Northern Lakes College, or 2 by High Prairie School Division? Where they have encouraged Northern Lakes College to relocate their plan to behind the High Prairie Elementary School. The very first time I heard of this, and I did let you all know as counselors, I did phone Betty Turpin, who is the superintendent of the Holy Family School Division. And her response was, the old hospital site is our preference for the high school, for the integrated college. That is our preference. But make no mistake, we will not be left behind. We will not be left out of this project. If it goes to the elementary school, we will be there. So they are not in favor of it, but they're not going to be left out of it. So basically, it is up to the town, the county, and maybe the citizens of this town to say, are we okay with that integrated college going on to the High Prairie Elementary site? And I again bring up the traffic that is going to be generated in that area. I'm not sure what the residents are going to be thinking. I don't think they're even aware of this situation at this point. So I'll start with Councillor Gilroy and then...
I did see the traffic survey person. They actually did do the traffic survey already from what I saw. July 6th, 10 in the morning, when there's no school around. I think they saw 3 cats and a dog. But to do a traffic survey when school's out for that community during the day, to me it's a waste of time. It's pointless. And I think from what I've heard of the community, to be honest, it's not just the using that land, it's how they're going to restructure potentially the students from that area, dividing it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have heard that they would move kindergarten to grade 3 to Prairie River, and it'd be 4 to 9 at E.W. Pratt. And that, to me, with the little children that I've seen as well in the low-income area by the school and the traffic that is generated on a regular basis, to have people race even more than they do now to the current high school, to that area, I think would be very hazardous, because we have kids who almost sit in the puddles on the edges and with not as much supervision as we would like. And I'll leave it at that.
Councillor Long?
In my discussions with my community around, there's a huge NIMBY. They're saying they do not want that school built there. That they just see this, exactly what you're seeing is every teenager that can drive a car, all the teachers that drive their cars, all the college people that are going to be driving their cars, all that beautiful green space is going to become parking lot and school, and it'll be traffic chaos, is what they're saying. So they're not impressed with the elementary school being turned into that joint use college, so an integrated college. That's all I've got so far.
Councillor Panasic?
It all, what we're talking about goes to the fact that we have no idea what's going to happen with that hospital site, when, what's the government's commitment. We don't know. They haven't given anybody an answer. And that's what I would like to get, is something that will say, yes, it's going to be there, or no, it's not. You're going to get it for this, or you're not going to get it for that. But we don't know. And all of these other plans, if there was an answer to what was gonna happen at that site, that would resolve a lot of issues. But right now, nobody knows, so you can't plan on it. If you're looking at building a college and you don't know if you've got that land, you're gonna be looking elsewhere, right? You gotta build it somewhere. So where's it gonna go? You're looking for places. But we need to get an answer, or at least try to get an answer on what's happening with that site. That's what I would like to find out. And push the government to give us an answer. Because if we're not pushing them, they're not thinking about it. It's not a concern for them, but we're in a time-sensitive crunch right now. And if we don't act on it, that spot's gonna be lost.
And to top it all off, we're dealing with AHS, which is probably one of the most incompetent organizations, $14 billion organization that is runs roughshod over everybody. And they don't care. They don't care. They don't give a rat's ass what you think and what your concerns are. They're going to do it when they do it. And that's a shame. And that's our health minister, Canuso, right there for you.
Well, actually, I don't agree with that. I think that if in this situation, we're not talking about medical, health care, anything like that. We're talking about the apportioning of land. But what I'm seeing is that our partners that were at the table are fracturing. They are going off, and I don't know if we're going to get any support from Northern Lakes College or the High Prairie School Division to continue to try for this land. And when you're saying, well, we have to get an answer, we're not going to get an answer unless all 5 partners, High Prairie School Division, St. Andrews School or Holy Family School Division, Northern Lakes College, county and town are all saying we want that land and we want it in 2018. From what I've heard, Northern Lakes College is basically saying we're not going to lose our $9 million and therefore we're going to go partner with High Prairie School Division. And that to me, if this project is such a good project, they would be behind us all the way, not hiving off and going over somewhere else. I have tried to get a meeting with the High Prairie School Division, Northern Lakes College, Holy Family, for 9 months, since November. And every time I have asked and said, we need a meeting, we need a meeting, we need a meeting, School Division, High Prairie School Division, or Northern Lakes College is too busy to meet. This is important to our town, and they are too busy to meet with us. So, and then, all of a sudden, I'm told that there was a meeting of High Prairie School Division, and here it is. We're going to put our project out for the Northern Lakes College. And it's like those two have gone away and made their own deal. And Holy Family has basically said, we're going to be there, whether we don't want to be, but we have to be, because they recognize what is best for their students is the integrated college. But if we can't get the partners to back us, there's no point town of High Prairie going and meeting with infrastructure. As what? One little community that is saying, oh, we want the hospital, the old hospital site? They're not going to listen. We need all 5 of those partners. Councillor Gilroy.
2 quick points. One, I agree, because if we don't have all the partners, that's how we partly got Toco reopened, was the partners actually came forward and took the time and invested it. We had a really good partnership there. I'm just wondering if they'd nail it down at 855, something like that, for the whole deal, would it be worthwhile to, I was going to say put it as a plebiscite to the community, because the election's coming up, after talking to our partner on the county, see if we can work something out to put it on a plebiscite and say, you know what, enough with this. We'll actually take the bite and see if it's a 50-50 thing. We can just redo the land ourselves for under $1 million and ask the town, the voters in the town and the county, is this what you want? And then that's our contribution, and we can keep everything safe in this town, and if they don't like it, then we've at least asked the people of the community to vote on it and deal with it. That would be my suggestion if we're not gonna get the government to move, because it is a time-sensitive thing, and it's not fair to any one of the partners to be under that extra stress.
If you're going to, just hang on, if you're going to buy the land for $1 million, you're gonna have to do a borrowing bylaw. And therefore, it would come out advertising the whole, there is a structure for doing that. If you're gonna buy that land yourself, the town, then we might as well develop it commercially. At least we get our $1 million back. If we buy the land and give it to the school division or the integrated college, then we get no tax revenue, and we've ended up putting $1 million into a structure that we have nothing on it. There's pros and cons. It's the idea that we do want that land as an integrated college. So if we have to put $1 million in to get it there, maybe that's one thing that the citizens of the town are going to have to decide whether they're willing to put their money up for that. Councillor Danaken.
I agree with Councillor Panasic in the sense that we don't know what's happening with that, but we really don't know what the other partners are doing either. I mean, it's all well and good saying, okay, we want this land and we'll take it upon ourselves to, with the county, to purchase the land and demolish it and, you know, bring it to a level that it can be used. But I mean, after that, the partners may still decide that it's a better option to go where they want to go at the elementary school. There's too many undecided or unknowns as to who's doing what and where they're going and what we want, and I don't know how to rectify that if we can't even get the three that sat in front of us and said, this is where we're going, and we can't even get those three organizations to meet with us or meet together and carry on from when they sat here and said, this is our focus, this is what we want. I don't know where we're going with this.
Councillor Rose?
I would think that if we pursued a meeting, that would probably be that step, right? Like we would have the meeting, we would have an idea, we may get an answer, right? If we get an answer, the school divisions would be much more willing to probably listen to what we have to say. Now, they have to go forward, and I get they have to go forward. Northern Lights College has got their dollars already. They don't want to risk losing their dollars. They've got a relationship with the schools. They're trying to go forward. We watched with the hospital. How many years did it take? And how many changes along the way, right? But if we assume that that they've already got their plan and they're not going to make any changes, well, we're probably wrong. They're probably going to change that plan yet a couple more times. So if we can come to the table with a meeting and said that we've got some success with infrastructure, Minister of Health, this is the date, this is the plan, this is what we can do. Like, I know Minister of Health is also waiting for us to say, well, do you guys have everybody together? Like, you know, this little group's waiting for, or ministers are waiting for us to get the group together, and the group's waiting for us to get the ministers together. You know, we need to try to be a mediator and see if we can get exactly what Councillor Panasic is asking for, is a meeting with infrastructure to see what they're willing to do. And if we can get that ball rolling, it may roll back to the school division in Northern Lakes, where they're happy to come back and say, okay, now that we know you can have that land by 2018, that's the date that they're going to give it to you. You guys are willing to come to table with some dollars. They very likely could look at that differently. But right now, that's the only land that they know that they've got for sure, right?
And maybe we're not hitting the right people. Instead of a meeting just with the Minister of Infrastructure, we should be getting Danielle to get us a meeting with Advanced Education Minister and Department of Education Minister, and let them come back and tell their people, this is what we're doing, get on board with it.
Yeah, I'm meeting with all three if you could.
So, and I think we should invite the county, ourselves, and Danielle, and get her to set the meeting up with the three ministers.
Yeah, say we want to meet with all three.
Yeah.
Before it gets out of control, where we totally lose any opportunity to at least present this back, because it is a good idea, and I think they all think it's a good idea, but they're grabbing onto whatever they can, right? Because they want it to go, right?
Yeah.
They want it to go, and I hope that that they're talking openly with the parents of the schools. Because if you got mom and dad who now have to take their kindergarten to grade 3 to the farthest end of town, and their kid in grade 4 going to a different school now instead of being with their siblings, there will be people who will want to start their own school, and they will leave the public system or the Catholic system. Say it ain't so, I know you hate hearing it, but Fernie has one of the best private schools now, and it's gone all the way to high school. And it started out with disgruntled parents forming a school because of a closure of an elementary school, and they didn't listen. So, but what do I know?
Well, this motion is just for the meeting, right? So we can.
Yeah.
Councillor Gilroy?
One of the reasons I'm actually pushing this more than anything else, I have to admit, is I also, on a highway 2, which is very accessible, I also don't want to have a huge empty spot coming into our town when our town is really rebounding. And secondly, I know the teachers can't say anything, but I'm sure it will also affect teachers in this one. So that's why I was saying the vote is a sort of a hidden thing where people can say what they really mean, and if they don't care, they're not going to vote on the plebiscite. But if they really want it, then they can vote, and no one knows whether they're employees or not, or or parents or not. It's a nice anonymous thing. And I'm just thinking of the employment as well in the community. It's an investment in our community, just like an infrastructure in a sense. Yeah, we're not going to get any stuff out of it, but.
So would you like to amend your motion to include the minister? Who made the motion? Did you make the motion?
Did I make a motion?
Oh, I did?
Sure, that's why I'm talking to you.
I'll amend it then to whatever you want to amend it to.
The
If you want to
Minister
include.
of Advanced Education and the Minister of Education
Do you want help?
And Minister of Health as well would be
and
good.
the Minister of Health
Because those are the main ones.
with Danielle and
As soon as possible.
the Reeve of the county as soon as possible. And we're not inviting the education people because they already know where they're going. So this is going to be us trying to secure the land. Are you in agreement with that?
I
Okay.
think that's fine.
All right.
That's fair.
And I know that the local newspaper will be writing a story on it, but I believe that that is something that we can say we are actively pursuing this, and we want to actively pursue the old hospital site.
No, for sure. We
So-
all agree it's a great place for a college.
Mhm.
We need to go forward and try to secure it and see what we can do to bring that forward.
Okay, so all in favor of that motion? And further on the plebiscite referendum, there's certain strictures regarding a referendum or a plebiscite or whatever to be part of the election process. You will have to bring back that to another meeting as to, we're already too late?
Robert, it has to be, it has to be 6 months ahead of the election where you have to have it out.
Okay. Good idea, but we can do a straw poll on the website if you want. We can kind of figure that out, or we can put it out in the,
But even to bring that into the conversation that we are this determined to get it, that's an important bargaining tool, I think.
okay. All right then. So, moving on. Next item is come back to the table. Here we are.
Come back for 2 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, can we have a motion then?
Oh, sorry, can I interrupt?
Yes.
I need to apologize, I led you astray. You can extend for a second 5-year term. I just looked through my notes and called my legal just to confirm. So you can extend twice for a 5-year term.
Okay. All right, so you
knew
did
what
have
were
the
doing
right.
when you put it in
So
there.
upwards of 20 years is what you're saying?
Maximum 20 years, yes.
Okay. But it's our decision to extend?
It is your decision. There is a clause in the franchise agreement that come renewal time 10 years from now, if there is no decision for a year, now that means that you haven't decided that you want to terminate or extend or do anything, and it just kind of sits there. The franchise agreement stays in place. However, after a year, the franchise fee collection decreases to 50% until you decide what you want to do.
Well, a little bit of a stick.
We want you to decide. We don't like this flippy floppy stuff.
Should have bit me on that one.
So I apologize. So I put it in there for a reason.
Okay, could I then have a first reading motion? Councillor Long?
The council provide first reading to bylaw 12, 2017, the electric distribution system franchise agreement.
Okay, is there anything in here that administration wants to bring to our attention? Any questions on this franchise agreement?
That we've had so much
Okay,
time to look at.
bylaw. Okay, so this is first reading, and then after this, we have to go, are we going to second reading?
Just first reading.
So if it passes first reading today, in your package, I've included the notice that I've already drafted for the newspaper that will go in tomorrow. That way residents have an option to voice their opinion to either the Alberta Utilities Commission, ATCO Electric, or Brian. And that will run 2 sessions, so up until August 16th. And then we will submit the application to the Alberta Utilities Commission. Once that's approved, then we can do second and third readings.
Okay. By that time, I'm sure everybody will have read this, the franchise agreement. And
It's riveting.
when am I supposed to initial? Tomorrow morning? Okay,
Yeah, so the only thing we need initialed is the bylaw.
yep. Bylaw.
Sign the bylaw for your first reading, and then just an email copy is fine for now. I will need the original when we submit, but I'll have to see that before I can officially pull the trigger for the announcement in the paper.
Okay, all right, as long as you know what you're doing. You know what I'm doing, that's what I want.
We got it covered.
All in favor? The motion is carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for staying.
Yeah. We
My
should have put you
pleasure.
up front, sorry.
I was gonna jump up and add my opinion, but I thought, oh, that's probably not appropriate. Have a great night,
Come at the
guys.
break and said, hey, I want next.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is 5B7. And could I get a motion? Councilor Rose.
The council approved the attendance of Mayor Linda Cox or delegate at the Pro Rodeo Parade and this year events.
Okay. And August 1st, and I will be there. So, Councilor Gilroy?
I had an interesting thought about this. Very quickly, that for the parade, do we actually have a Town of High Prairie float? Because it would be very nice, since this is a special year. I know it's short notice, but if some of the councilors could have been like on the float and just wave to people, something different, a nice PR thing.
Do we have a float?
We have an antique fire truck.
Can we all climb on a fire truck?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking it would be nice. It's a special year. We could have sesquicentennial little flags or something like that, and just wave to the people as something special.
I agree. I would be more than happy to,
I'd be happy to be on one.
but find something. I don't think they have enough time. They got
Pumper truck.
5 days?
Sunstone Energy instead, big Town of High Prairie on your logo covered up.
Yeah.
Truck to be on top.
Cover it up. Cover up my logo? What are you talking about? I don't think we have anything that we could tow. Yeah, and one of the car dealerships provides it.
Does Public Works have like a nice little pickup truck? Oh, man. It was just a thought. I know it's
Just a
big,
thought.
but it was a thought.
Well, think some more and talk to administration and If we get an email, then we'll know what's happening, and if we don't get anything, I'll know that nothing's happening.
How many trucks do you want?
We'll all drive one. No, I know what we could do. We could get Ken Melnick's fire truck, his quad. Yes, his side-by-side. Let's go and requisition it and say we want to ride that in the parade.
What if we each get a side-by-side and drive? Yeah. Right?
Yeah, do that too. We could get the lawnmowers.
Shotgun on the John
I think you're getting a bit carried away.
You're right.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
time
you
to
so
move
much.
on. All in favor? That motion is carried. You guys think about it. Okay, next one, High Prairie Medical Clinic. I need a motion. Councillor Rose?
The council moves to write a letter to Alberta Health Services to request answers to the High Prairie Medical Clinic's questions.
Okay, so we have a response. Did that answer any of the questions, do you think?
I'm seeing it to yes, it does. And Foyt is a big issue.
Do we have, did I get that? Oh, is that in our, in your box, right? Yes, thank you.
It was, no, well, it came in the box.
Yeah.
So,
I picked it up earlier.
yeah. All right, during this first email from Judy Johnston, I did respond to her after discussing with Councillor Gilroy the email, and he mentioned in passing that Dr. Laughlin sat on the interview committee for the last round.
No, the last two.
The last two.
Tomorrow and the one last week, and the one from us this last round.
Okay, so the two questions that, and this is aside from the clinic space, but the questions that Judy Johnston was asking was, why was the doctor that they had lined up from out of country not included in the interview, and was the High Prairie Medical Clinic again being shortchanged? And once I found out that Dr. Laughlin was sitting on was sitting on the interview committee, I responded to Judy and said that I couldn't ask Alberta Health Services why the doctor did not receive an interview. That would be a complete, they wouldn't tell me, because that's personal. I mean, it would be up to the doctor to ask him why they weren't successful in getting interviewed. But in saying that, Dr. Laughlin could have asked, because he sat on the interview committee and he could have seen the qualifications of the interviewees. He would have known what the qualifications of the doctor was. Then he would have a legitimate reason to ask, why was this doctor not part of the interview process? Not up to us, not up to me. And then when this came through, I thought pretty well that answered Ms. Johnston's questions. So I'm not sure if this was, it wasn't forwarded to Judy. So I'm not sure if it should be, or whether Kathy Wilcox should be asked if she wants it forwarded to Judy or what. But that, I'm not sure what a letter to the Alberta Health Services, what more information would be garnered. Councillor Danaka?
Did we not write a letter not that long ago on this same issue to Alberta Health Services regarding why doctors, et cetera, and I don't think we ever did get any response from them, did we? So, to me, this answers the questions that, that were put forth, so I'm not sure what writing another letter will do.
Councillor Rose?
Just a bit confused about Dr. Laughlin sitting on the interview committee. Is this new? Like, was this this is new, right? Okay, so things have changed, because I've heard a few things where they've been more involved and they've been more connected with Alberta Health Services, or those that they need to speak to anyway. So has anybody contacted them like this was recent again, that Judy wanted us to pursue questions?
Councillor Gilroy first, and then Councillor Panas.
I'd probably be, I guess I'm probably more the person who's had the most up-to-date on this. Now that I'm unofficially one of the point people that AHS has been contacting regarding the new doctors. I do know that Judy Johnson, when I talked to her last week, she was extremely surprised and happy that AHS, after having allowed them to be a very much a part of the whole situation, they've changed the way that they do the not only choosing the applicants that will be coming, the one last week, the one tomorrow that we'll be dealing with, and the one in August, but they've also added to the when they cut it down to a certain number of people, applicants, to the actual interview process, they added the senior physician, which was Dr. Laughlin, and a junior physician, which was Dr. Nyazi, the newest one, as part of the interview committee. They now they bring them in on the Monday night. On Tuesday, they go through all the clinics in the hospital, do all the hospital stuff. They then have all the doctors from both clinics and staff meet for dinner. I was there last week and I was there this week. That was my dinner coming in. And there was 20 people actually invited to go to Boondocks from the doctors and that, and they talk openly as one big group. Then what they've changed is they've now given the High Prairie District Community Health Foundation the ability to then take the last day, which is the Wednesday, and and have total control over it. So last week it was Ken Matthews, George Key, myself. We had total control, no interference at all as to how we talked about the community. They also, even tomorrow, HS is going out of their way. Dr. Laughlin had been hurt on his vacation, and AHS, the recruiter, the Dr. Lohi, who is just below Dr. Worry, they've all agreed that we can take the potential physician over to where Dr. Laughlin is for as long as we need to, as part of our trip around the county, to have whatever sort of interview process or orientation interview that he wants, which is totally different than here. I'm not sure we will get any answers. We were told yesterday at RHAP that personnel issues are personnel issues and they can't say why, but I like the fact that they're opening up the system and allowing more involvement from our town and from both clinics working together on it. And so I would probably suggest that this should actually be set aside until we find out what's happening with these three potential doctors, how they make their decision. That would be my suggestion.
Councillor Corley, did you have anything? Councillor Panasic?
Yeah. It sounds like I wanted to put this on the agenda just so it didn't get lost and make sure we were addressing the concerns from them, and that's why I put it on. But it sounds like lots has changed in the 2 weeks since this their email was sent to us, and like if we've gotten some of the answers, and we've got Dr. Laughlin is in on the recruitment and the selection of these doctors, I think that's probably what they wanted. We're probably not there. We might want to just check to see if they're happy with that, but at this point.
Can we ask
Councillor Rose, what was it?
No, Judy's right here.
Judy's right here now, so can we ask Judy to see if we can get a little bit of an update?
Is the rest of council okay with that?
I'm good.
Sure, see what they have to say.
Okay.
Would you mind updating us as to where you guys feel you're at?
Do you want to come forward and put the
Yeah, just have a,
microphone on?
have a seat, come visit us.
If I'm wrong, correct me. If I'm wrong, correct me.
Okay. Actually, I would agree with what Brian has said since we sent the email. It's become obvious that Alberta Health Services is trying to work with both clinics. The first doctor who came was brought to Dr. Laughlin's clinic and was able to sit with Dr. Edwards for an interview and a discussion for an hour without an AHS staff present. So they are making an effort. Dr. Laughlin did sit in on the interviews. We are, of course, still hoping that eventually we can get the doctor from South Africa who wanted to come here. But I understand that the person who was going through the resumes didn't know that we had a doctor, but also they've chosen the doctors with the qualifications who were already in Canada. So they were a little easier to bring here. Some of them won't need the 6-month assessment. They'll only need 3. I think the Dr. Kanu that was here last week, he would only need an in-house assessment, so that's 3 months. And Dr. Pillay, who's here right now, same for her as well. I don't know about the third one who is coming. So this is where their choice came from. When it first happened, we very much thought, you know, perhaps this is their further attempt to block, but it appears to be it was totally innocent. They picked the doctors with the qualifications who were closer, easier to bring over, cheaper to bring over. And they all had excellent qualifications. Our doctor also has good qualifications, but he is in South Africa. Yeah.
Councillor Gilroy?
Judy, do you believe that with your other discussions over the last couple of weeks, that for the next set, we'll say, because they're always trying to hire professionals up here, that you will have a greater influence than you've had in the past?
Yes. Yes.
Good.
If Dr. Logie continues to be a representative here, then I think we'll get an equal shot and more influence, equal influence to the other clinic.
So we have less to worry about?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one question.
Councillor Rose?
Judy, do you feel like that there's anything that, we had just made a motion to submit a letter again for you guys on your behalf. Is there any value in that at this point? Is there anything that we can help you guys with, or do you feel like things are at a pretty level?
We
like
still
things are
would
leveled
like
a bit?
help on that for that particular doctor, but I don't know if that would help at this point. Dr. Laughlin is getting older. As Brian said, he was injured while he was on holidays. He's away for a week, maybe he's away for longer. We are going to be scrambling. You know, he's not retiring, he's not going right now, but we're scrambling at the moment to be able to maintain keeping his patients.
So maybe just staying in close contact to see how follow-up goes with these interviews.
Yeah, like we have an equal opportunity to hire these doctors. However, I always look at it they're very new to here. Right now, we don't have a new clinic to show them. We will have mid-September. We will be going into the Rexall by the Royal Bank. They're going to build a clinic within there. But if you came to a new place and you were offered clinic right at the hospital, and you can take 98% of your income home versus clinic somewhere else where you might have to only take 80% home, I'm sure you'd take the 98. You know, we may not be in a level playing field there, but we do have other things that we can offer, and I think we just have to present that to doctors when they come. Because a doctor in our clinic has much more freedom on choosing their hours of practice, because we've always tried to be very flexible so that we can have flexible hours for our patients. So evening clinics, weekend clinics. So, and that does appeal, and that did appeal to the doctor here today.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right then. So it appears the situation has leveled out, hopefully. We'll be in, I'm sure that we'll be kept abreast of any developments.
So I can amend that, or
Do you want to withdraw?
withdraw and remake a motion.
Did
To
you want to
receive
make another
information.
one? Just receive for
Receive
information?
information, yeah.
Okay. So withdraw the first and receive for information. All in favor? That motion is carried. Next item is the CAO's report. Can I get a motion?
I move that we receive the CAO's report for information.
Okay, Mr. Martinson, is there anything you would like to bring to our attention on your report?
Just to let council know that we're still ongoing, trying to help, the Tim Hortons people with, running of a line from the main transmission line along the highway instead of from the transformer within 51st Street, is it? Right?
52nd Avenue.
The highway.
Should be 52nd Avenue, this is where the power supply.
First,
Ah, 51st, okay.
yeah. So, we're still working with them, told them that we would help out in any way that we could, so to ensure that the development went ahead.
And that's looking good.
It is, still looking good.
I had a question regarding Dion Willier, Director for ISL Engineering. Who do we have for engineering right now?
MPE.
MPE. So are we planning on sending out an RFP for engineering services?
We normally send one out every 5 years.
And it's now time?
Next year will be time, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He
Just to
just
get
got-
competitive
he just got
rates.
To basically touch base with me and said that.
Make sure he's on the list.
Make sure he's on the list when we do our RFPs.
Yeah.
Okay.
RFP.
RFP, yeah.
Any other questions? Councillor Rose?
On his report, or?
Yep.
You ordered a nameplate for Lois,
I did.
and you contacted Lois, and you let her know that she was.
Actually, I tried to contact her like a week ago and
She wasn't around.
nobody had her cell number or whatever, so they said that they would contact her, and she actually, when I got to work this morning, there was a phone call, message for me to call her. So I talked to her, and I got a phone Tammy tomorrow to let her know that she will take part in the opening of the,
Time capsule.
the McIntyre Park.
McIntyre Farm.
Yep.
Okay.
So I've ordered the nameplate for her already. Basically, I said what we'll do is, like we did with, the Ukrainians, is present it to you, take it back, and then we'll put it on the monument at the museum.
And were you able to do anything specific to Canada 150?
For her?
Yeah, we were gonna try to just put like
No,
the.
no. The, lady said that the costs were so much, and I basically told her timelines where I wanted it for the presentation, so she said that it was, but I did check.
Okay, thanks.
When is McIntyre Park open?
It's 26th of August, I
Yeah.
think. The 19th is the time capsule, the week, the Saturday before.
Okay, any other questions regarding the CO's report? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Next item is the Stars of Alberta Volunteer Awards, page 32. Councillor Panasic?
That council received the 2017 Stars Alberta Volunteer Awards package for information.
And could I add that we place this information on the town website?
Absolutely. That's where I think it should go and promote it, but not to volunteer or to nominate people.
Okay, so you'll put it on the website? Okay. All in favor? Do you have any discussion on this? Any questions? All in favor? That motion is carried. Opposed? Opposed. Okay.
We don't like to nominate people.
Go ahead and nominate it on the website.
We shy away.
Item 6.2, checklisting. Could I get a motion, please? Councillor Rose?
That council received the check listing for council for June 14th to July 4th, 2017 for information.
All in favor? Motion is carried. Next item is the Family Education Society donation request. Councillor Long?
The council received the Family Education Society's request for donations for information.
And do we have any discussion on this? Can I ask Councillor Long?
Again, where is the Ministry of Education? Where is the Ministry of Health? Where is the Ministry of a million different programs that could be out there funding these people and helping them with the great stuff that they do for these kids, but don't download it onto the towns. That's not our mandate. It's not our purview, and we don't have the money. So take care of the kids that have been screwed up by our societies over the past 100 years with fetal alcohol effect and whatnot, and recognize it, and have the education system recognize FAS, FASE as an actual disorder that needs funding, because they don't want to test the kids. If they test the kids, it means it's going to cost that school district XYZ amount of dollars. So they minimize it. And it's been ongoing forever, and so it's not our dollar. We can't afford it. That's why. There.
Thank you. I was wondering why. I also noticed that this Lorraine Bunch Family Support Team lead obviously is a government paid position. So I kind of agree with you as to, if this is a government initiative, why aren't they funding it? Councillor Gilroy?
It also seems, I know I haven't lived here long, but it seems like we have groups doing this already in our community. CRC, FCSS, I'm sure we have FASD people here. Why can't they get together and pool the funding? I mean, they tried to do it about a year ago. Why can't they do it now? Is it strict, because it seems, as I said, a little redundant not to have all these groups actually talking and working together instead of, once again, coming to us from a place from Grand Prairie, actually.
All right. A rhetorical question? Very good. All in favor of the motion? Carried. What will you do? Will you write a letter to them saying that they're refused, or?
Unable to.
Just that council received it for information.
Okay, all right.
Can we, in those situations, invite them if they wanted to come? Like, when they just send us a letter, sometimes there's a lot more information, right? If they want to present, if they want to come and meet with us, like if there's a concern. Because sometimes we miss, like when I've heard that after the fact, it's like, how come you guys didn't do this? And then somebody will explain it all to me. I say, well, we had no idea. We get this little letter, we make a decision based on the information that was provided, and we didn't know that, A was linked to B, that was linked to C, and that maybe we should have supported something, right? So.
It's their job to make sure of that.
Well, that's it, but maybe they don't understand that, we should make sure that we extend that invitation, that they can come to a council meeting if they would like to address
You're
it.
opening a can of worms, Council Gilroy.
Actually, I was assuming that if it was as important as they say it is, they'd want to show up.
Right?
Some people don't understand that. I lived in this community for a number of years before I realized that, oh yeah, I should actually go to a council meeting and not just send a letter. Like, I think that people don't really, look at how many people come.
The savvy people, they come because they know that that we look more favorably upon them when we're looking them right in the eye. It's harder for us to say no. So, oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, so that vote was taken, was it? Okay. Next item is the 25th anniversary food banquet. Councillor Long.
The reason I'm putting my hand up again for this, I see that option 1 that council approved lieutenants of Mayor Linda Cox, Council Brian Gilroy to attend. I didn't reply to anything email-wise because I couldn't read it, but I've been working with Jim Dumont for the past so, and we're doing a PowerPoint presentation tomorrow. And speech and whatnot. She had asked me if I would be able to present this and work with her at their banquet. And I was honored, and of course, the council's pension. So
I would like to withdraw my name and place Councillor Long's name there instead. I don't have any problem at all with that. Too late, you're just
How can we only get?
administration.
I think both your names have been submitted already, so I would recommend council make a motion to approve all three is to go.
Okay,
I'm with that.
Actually, I was gonna withdraw my name.
too late. Now
No,
you're there.
I thought I was only one. And, no, sorry, I have to say it this way. In fact, I was overjoyed when I heard you wanted to go, Councillor Long, because of my position outside of the council. There are certain,
You're busy?
well, it is a very busy weekend. However, I was going to withdraw because there was sort of I wasn't going to be able to attend, we'll say. And so I was looking, actually hoping that either Mayor Cox by herself or another councillor would jump in, and thank you, Councillor Long, for jumping in.
All right.
My apologies for not keeping everybody abreast.
So Councillor Long and Mayor Linda Cox. That's your motion?
Yes, that's my motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor? All right, and now to the reports. This should be pretty good because I don't have one, seeing as how I've been gone.
Let's do it in Russian.
Do it in Russian. Niet. Duh. And I did learn one other one, Pektapa restaurant, because I couldn't believe all the Pektapas that were around. And finally I asked the interpreter, what's a Pektapa? She said, it's a restaurant. Pektapa.
You thought it was a chain or something?
Well,
Franchise? I want in.
I want- There's a lot of them. They must be make good money. Anyhow, so I have no report. Councillor Danak.
Just a verbal report. Didn't do a whole bunch. Councillor Panasic and I have done the bylaw. We've completed the 2017 where we are now. 651 bylaws we have gone through. As Councillor Panasic had mentioned, it's nice that the bylaw that we went through today repeals some, or one, because there's many bylaws that we ran into that don't repeal anything, or some bylaws have been repealed 6 times by progressive bylaws instead of one repealing them all. So coming to council will be an RFD this big with bylaws that need to be repealed. And I'm not sure what we'll end up with at the end of it. We have a meeting on the 19th to go through it and finalize which ones are actually still active, which, you know, finalize the RFD to what's being repealed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have to attend to the ones that are active. Then we have to make sure that they repeal in the bylaws that say which ones they're repealing, like the fees bylaw. We have to repeal all of the utility sewer rates bylaws that we've come across that need to be included in this bylaw. So it was quite the process. It was quite the process.
Amazing.
But we want to get this all completed before the election, so the next council or the next people that are on this committee will just have to deal with the active bylaws and carry on and adjust what needs to be adjusted in that time frame. The only other thing I did is I stopped in at the Peavine Inn and Suites when Tolko had their information session, just to see how that was going for them. It was basically an information session for people to come out and see what's available job-wise. They said they had lots of people come in with resumes, and they referred them to apply online because that wasn't what this was all about. I was there after work, and they were expecting another rush, 5:30 when people got off. They said it had been busy during the morning for 2 or 3 hours. When they first opened, they had the rush of people, and we talked about what was happening in the town. I can't remember who I talked to. I can't remember their names, but they were excited. I told them as part of the town, we're excited about, the potential that's there when they get going, and that's my verbal report. I move it for information.
Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Councillor Gilroy?
I too went to the TOCO to encourage them on behalf of the town, and I also had the privilege of meeting the new general manager of the Peavine Inn, David. And he actually gave me a tour of the renovated restaurant or up to what it was done, and it was quite impressive that now the patrons do not have to go outside to go to the restaurant. They actually put a hole in there so they can actually come from inside. And they've renovated the bar area, and they also changed the family area by putting a long buffet table for morning breakfasts for their clients. And I was told that as soon as they open, which is supposed to be mid-August, that there will be invitations to our council and to the county council for the grand opening. So I was very impressed, and they are very happy about all this happening. The TOCO people as well were happy, as well as I met a number of the people from the community who were also happy, and they're very interested in all that's going through. As well, I had, oh my goodness, an MPC meeting, and I've met with the doctors the last 2 Tuesdays for both clinics. I went, as I said before, I went touring with the doctor's name is Dr. Canu, and he is very pleased with our community, and we encouraged him to be talking to real estate agents as soon as possible because of the growth in our town, and so that's looking hopeful. Unfortunately, when I talked to AHS tonight, what I was basically, I have to re-talk to the person I didn't have as much time to because I came to council meeting to talk to, because I asked for a time frame of when they need to give responses, and they were not, the doctor I talked to was not able to do that at the point, but we are encouraging them to come as soon as possible. The doctor that we are going to be taking on tour around tomorrow, I believe they're even going to be introduced to real estate agents tomorrow. So that's a very positive thing. And the third one will come around the time of between the time capsule and the opening of McIntyre Park. So, and I don't know a lot about that, but I will let council know when that happens. And last night as well, I had the, I'll say, privilege of having 2 councillors come and join me and George as we talked to the, it used to be called the RPAP person. Now it's RHAP because they're changing it to health professionals as opposed to just rural physicians coming here. And what they want to do, basically, there's a couple things. They're hoping to make a video to sell our community to the outside world. And I think we had a good meeting with Holly Hanfield, who will be talking either to myself or Debbie or Brian, who were there, about some more information to deal with not only the possibility of video, because Brian had a great idea of using the county's promotional video as part of it. As well, there's a possibility that they'd like to bring in a bus load of students to second year, possibly third year a wide range of them from Edmonton, that would then come and do a skills assessment, and we'd have a chance to once again sell the community. And we heard a very positive response of what happened when they tried to sell Manning. And the students were very impressed with Manning. So if they're impressed with Manning, they'd be even more impressed with us, I think. So I think that's about it for that. And I will move my verbal report for information purposes.
Any questions? All in favor? Motion is carried. Councillor Long.
Just short, Councillor Rose and Panasik will be saying the same thing probably about just the sesquicentennial. I know that the parade judges, the discussion was this evening. I don't know what came of it, but it looks like they may want the judges for the sesquicentennial floats as well as for the rest of the floats in the parade. So, and we were phoned on that, I believe. So, Trish was meeting with. Thank you, and we'll have some confirmation of that this evening. I guess that's about it, because for the most part, I was just getting operated on and recuperating. So, but that was it. It's coming along nice. Sesquicentennial stuff's coming along nice. I'm a happy guy.
Well, then you won't like my comment, which was all the way from Russia. I heard that the July 1st was very successful in the park. Was quite well attended. Lots of feedback from different people I've met. My comment is regarding the fact that when the introductions were made, Tammy Kalita spoke, Danielle Larrivee spoke, an elder spoke, and no one regarding the deputy mayor was not invited to speak. And I am extremely disappointed. And I even probably swore at the preacher because I was so upset that the people who are funding this event were not asked to talk to the residents and say thank you for coming out. I am totally aghast.
Yes, it was brought up, it was discussed, and
I don't know. And if the response was,
none of us, Brian.
but it's not a political thing, do you think the mayor is invited to Remembrance Day or to the high school graduations or to Northern Lakes College as a political event? No, they are invited as a sign of respect for the community they're in. And I would like to chastise both of the other members for not standing up for the deputy mayor and allowing that person to speak on behalf of the residents of this town. And that's all I have to say on that. You just happened to get it because you were first.
Thank you.
All in favor?
And my apologies, sir.
Councillor Panasik.
Attended a few meetings. One most recently was this morning for the airport committee. There's nobody out there.
On the screen.
Oh, okay. Airport committee, the fly-in barbecue is September 16th. And Brian, I've got to ask if you could check with the fire department if we can use their barbecues on that day.
Not just use a barbecue, please have them help host.
Yeah, and if they could help maybe
Or one or two guys.
one or two guys on that day.
If not, I can drag it out.
What day is it?
Yeah. That's a Saturday, September 16th.
September 16th.
September 16th, yeah.
They can practice fire maneuvers.
The guy that give it up there and flip.
Exactly, yeah. It was a fun day. I know that they liked to, before when we had the barbecue, when we did it out here, they wanted to have somebody with it, just to make sure. So that's why I was thinking it would probably come with somebody, but
But if
Arlen's absolutely right, yeah.
If not, we can drag it out.
If not, we could do it if they're all right, but if they want somebody.
Fine with us.
What time does that start, 10?
Yeah, we'll have the poster's gonna be coming out soon, and we can't remember the exact time. It's the same time as last year, if that helps.
I can't remember.
That's what we said, we would do it the same time.
It was 9 o'clock, so we started with a breakfast, and then we switched by about 11:30, went to burgers and.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it'll be the same thing, breakfast
Yeah.
and lunch?
breakfast and
you bet.
lunch, yeah,
Hopefully the weather's better though.
yeah.
I'll do that.
The other thing with the airport group is that they've got the sprayers in, agricultural sprayers. They're going in there, and there's a few issues around that, and they want to use their own fuel, and they want to do a few other things. But that same group, the sprayers, want to build their own hangar at the airport. So that's all good developments.
A new business in town.
Yeah, they're a new business in town, even though they're not here all the time, but when they are here, they figure they're gonna be busy for quite a while, right into September when they're here.
On the question of fuel, do they have certain regulations they have to abide by at the airport, or?
Well, we were discussing that as the committee. Are we going to allow somebody to bring in their own fuel, or whether they have to use our fuel? And right now, our fuel, the fuel that the tanks out there are run by another company, and they take all the profits. So from our perspective, we don't really care, because we're not getting any of the benefits. However, with that being said, there is, the county is working on getting that transferred into there so that that contract will become null and void, and they'll get the profits from that fuel.
Do they think there's going to be enough fuel usage to make it worthwhile? The county?
It's going to make some money. It's better than making no money, and it's
No,
not
but-
hard to do. Right?
So the fuel usage has climbed?
It has climbed, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
it's
that was
certainly
the big discussion on the fuel tanks to start with, is nobody wanted to put them in because they didn't think that there was going to be any revenue out of them.
Yeah, well, and we still haven't got the AFS to come over there. They've got another contract, but once they got out of that, they've talked about coming over and using our fueling system. So that would be big. These guys, once they're using our fuel, will get bigger because they're flying just steady. Their turnaround is quick. Yeah, they got 2, and they had a third one there, they said, for a little bit, because when the weather's right, they just go away. And their turnaround is quick. There's some issues with having them there because they want to sort of take part of the apron and set up with their water and their chemicals and their fuel so that they're fueling and fueling up their water and the spray at the same time to be efficient. So lots going on with that, which is good. Had a meeting with the Sesquicentennial we talked about, and I don't know, we had got the McIntyre Park coming up in the next while, and the opening of the time capsule.
And the maze.
And the maze, they helped
That was fun, standing out there.
they helped set up the maze out at the corn maze. We had, again, the bylaw committee meetings. The other one, the broadband meeting, met with the Steve Epley. Just a quick update on that. Nothing's happening overly quickly there. We are not going to see with them anything happening even by next spring. We're not going to see fiber getting laid in our community. It's slower. They're looking at bigger things. They're trying to get it all right. I'm trying to push them and say, well, let's put High Prairie as a pilot project and let's get something going here and show the rest of the community what can be done. But there's a lot of issues with, laying the fiber is one thing, but having a control center and who's going to be running it, who's going to be the providers you're going to bring on. So they're trying to get all of that information together And they're also trying to get in like Slave Lake and the MD of Lesser Slave River and Saw Ridge Band and the bands along here. So it's getting pretty convoluted as a study. I don't know if we're going to get anything really quick out of that. So that's what's happening with the broadband. But they are very interested, like I said, in that old water plant. So, yeah, that's it, other than the RPAT meeting the other night too. So, move my report for information. Oh.
Count question?
Do you think that there's a fairly substantial chance that we won't be able to bring this internet project to some great result, and we're going to miss the boat when we have the opportunity to do something independent?
I don't think so. I think this will just be more information and will be better planned and when it does roll out. Yeah, we'll have more information for sure. I don't think it's going to be that we're going to miss it. I would like to see it much quicker.
I mean, miss something like what we were looking at with something like Axia, where they were offering to put free fiber down.
Yep. Yep, we would be, there's a good chance we wouldn't be dealing with Axia, but there's lots of issues with Axia. The more I talk with him and stuff, he is not an Axia fan, so.
Oh, we saw that at Digital Futures.
Yeah, he's not an Axia fan, but it'll be interesting to see what the government's decision is on the SuperNet and the management of that. So that's supposed to be coming out fairly soon. So a decision on that. So.
Questions anymore? Councillor Gilroy?
If you could refresh our memory, isn't the county, they have their grant, is it in August that they're meeting and having their discussions? And is this part of your group as well? Because I thought the county was going to do some extra discussion on broadband, and they'd received a grant for that as well.
They're doing a feasibility study, and that's part of this
Okay.
committee that he's sitting on.
I thought that was in August, I think, wasn't it?
They're also looking at doing a community information session sometime in September. Yeah.
Okay. No other questions? All in favor? Councillor Courtly?
I've been away, so I don't have much. Basically, had a meeting with Brian, little meeting with Brian Monday, but we went, I was at the airport meeting today, this morning, with Brian, so that's all I've got. That's all I've done. I haven't met with anybody, been flat out when I got back, so. Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have had a person from the community approach me regarding the rodeo.
Yes.
And you're probably going to hear something about it, so just a heads up.
Yep.
The marching band is coming from Grand Prairie.
Cool.
And the rodeo representative approached the recreation board, the swimming pool person.
Oh, okay.
And asked if they could use the swimming pool as a changing room for
neat.
their uniforms and
Yeah.
the bathrooms. It was said yes, and then it was said no, and now it's said yes, but it would depend on the recreation director who is coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
So
I
it might be a no again.
Anybody there, so.
And if it is a no, I'm sure you'll hear from it because Jerry Colleen is following up on this.
Why, do you know why they asked for the swimming pool?
They need some place to change into the uniforms and a staging area.
Wouldn't the arena be better?
No, because the parade starts at the.
Oh, I see, parade starting.
No, the high school.
Oh, I see, okay, I get
They
it.
checked into that and they said that they can't have too many corridors running off. Like, if they open the doors, people will get in. Take off all over the school, basically, security, but whereas
Oh,
the
okay,
swimming
I
pool,
get it, all right. Well,
you know, it's just one set of doors and they can have someone there to say, no, this is just for the band. So,
okay.
that's just a heads up to say.
Pretty rowdy bunch. The hallways clean. I can see it now.
It's the rest
Bring
of.
back my bassoon.
The
Okay.
bathrooms at J.C. Park, is that what you said? Oh my goodness. Okay. All
not
right,
the bathrooms,
well, I'll,
it's the changing rooms, they need to put their uniforms.
I'll check into that tomorrow.
Okay. All in favor then? And Councillor Rose?
Actually, I have a written report, so I'll supply it next meeting, but I will just bring to your attention two things. One, I actually just bumped into a fellow that was working on the railway tracks about the CN issue, the over the tracks south of town.
Oh.
And it sounds like they're not going to do anything with it. So Brian, I
Can you
gave
tell me
them
what the issue is?
that way. It's a huge sort of dip between where the road meets the track, and the town apparently has been doing a fairly good job of filling. No, you guys aren't.
Brilliant.
Brilliant is.
But Marion just got an email back from a lady from CN, and it's not their responsibility under the railway crossing agreements that they have at the highways. So it's actually Carillion's responsibility to maintain that. They need to.
And Carillion's doing it now. Is that where
Yeah,
they're putting
just
the
putting
dirt in?
gravel in and packing it, but ultimately they have to pave it.
Okay.
Under the railway crossing agreements that this lady is referring to. Now, we're researching that a little bit, but we've also forwarded it on to Leon at, is it Leon?
Yeah.
At Carillion. So Marion was in contact with him today.
Sounds like
Could be
it's.
an ambulance and soup.
That's it. It sounds like at least it's all under control. But I was surprised to hear that they made a decision and they're not. CN's not, because at one point you had thought that CN was going to try to fix it, right? Okay. Couple chamber meetings, and with that they've decided on October 21st for their date for their gala. I've got a couple guest speakers lined up. They'll make an announcement soon, and we're working on a design facade award for, well, not just downtown but for the area. I'll give you more information on that. Yeah, that was basically it. Everything else will come out in written form, so you guys can read it all. But I'll move my report for information unless anybody has any questions.
Councillor Gilroy?
How's the mural coming along? The mural design for Sesquicentennial?
There's no update on that right now. Like there's the next step is a committee design, and we're just forming that. We don't have this event until October, and the people that are doing the designs all over Canada are extremely busy. So as far as they're not needing anything from us until September. So they had suggested to get a design committee together, and that's what we were doing.
I thought they were gonna do a contest.
We did, and we didn't get anybody
I didn't
submitting
see it
anything.
advertised. Did you see, was there a contest? When did it end?
June 21st.
I had a design.
You had a design. Well, maybe we'll relook at that, and maybe that's what the committee will, be able to do is push the design contest a little bit again, and get some feedback. But they had sort of suggested that what they do in a lot of communities is get some local, maybe artists or those that may have some interest in and some background in design to help you formulate a single image design type idea to put on your mural.
Well, what did they say? They wanted a design that spoke to the,
Unique image of High Prairie.
and my suggestion was, why don't you do the Santa workshop with all the lights?
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
Or stick a
don't need Barbie. We had that once.
But anyway, that's where it's at, yeah.
Museum?
Anyhow, there you are, because
Okay,
it's
there
got
you go.
lots of color
Yeah,
and
there you
it's,
are, right.
and everybody talks about it every Christmas.
No, you are right.
Any other questions? No? Did you move your report for information? All in favor? And I will say one thing about not having any written reports. When I checked the agendas, I didn't know what you guys did for a month.
Party, man.
You must
Party.
have had a hard time.
Played floor hockey with me out
So
here.
I can see why Councillor Giannakis often refers to the fact that it would be nice if you would have written reports so I could remember what you said. Okay, we're going to go in camera, so we will take a 5-minute break. You won't be here, okay?